everyone, my name is Chloe, and today I'm here to do my second half of October wrap-up. So if you guys have not watched the channel for a while, I do two wrap-ups, one for the first half of the month and one for the second half of the month, just because I do read quite a few books and my memory is not good, and so I like to do them in smaller chunks so I remember more and can talk to you more, and just so it's not so overwhelming. So the second half of October, I will go through the stats, and then we'll go through the books in just the order that I read them, and we'll go from there. So for the second half, so the 16th to the 31st, I read 10 books, which is a total of 3,553 pages, which is 222 pages a day. The average page length of the books was 355 pages, which means I read a little bit more like adult stuff than middle grade stuff with my daughter this month, or this part of the month. And so there's that. I read 8 novels and 2 chapter books. I read 7 adult, 1 young adult, and 2 middle grade. 6 of these books were off my shelf and 4 were from somewhere else. And then as far as like, I always do things multiple ways normally. Like it's not very frequent that I sit down and just read a paperback or a hardcover book, because I just don't have that time. So I'll either do a combo or something, or I'll take one off my shelf and try to get a digital copy. So as far as where I got all the copies that I read, I got 3 from Libby, 3 from the library, 2 from NetGalley, and 2 were just on my shelf. I read 6 audiobooks and 4 physical. So like I said, that is categorized based on what I do most, like which format I do most. And the 4 physical were 100% physical, but 2 of those were middle grade. So, and you'll see the rest. I read 3 new releases and 7 backlist. And then as far as genre goes, I did 3 mystery thrillers, 2 contemporary, 2 historical, 1 nonfiction, 1 romance, and 1 women's fiction. So as always, I am all over the board. And I really like that about my reading. I know, like in the YouTube world, if you don't really fit in a box, then you don't get the mass subscribers and stuff. And I'm great with that. I love you guys, and most of you guys, I feel like, are kind of eclectic readers like I am. So I think that's kind of fun. And then as far as star ratings go, I gave 1 2.5, 1 3-star, 5 3.5 stars, and 3 4-stars. So the average was 3.5. It was kind of I would recommend it, but not the best thing I ever read. It was that kind of second half of the month. So let's just get into the book. So the first one I read was Karen's Sleepover, and this is number 9 in the Babysitters Club Little Sisters, and this is my 2.5 star. I have been reading through this series with my daughter, and in general, loving them. Karen is a little bratty. She's a little obnoxious. We're on book maybe 12 right now, and I'm kind of ready for a break, and just because she's a lot, but overall, they're really cute stories. And this one, though, was terrible. There's a new kid in town named Pamela. And Karen decides to have a sleepover with all the girls in her class. So she invites Pamela, but the whole time they're just dogging on her. And she kind of has a better than everybody attitude. And so it's constantly talked about how nobody likes Pamela, and that there's a group of them that are like trying to be like her because she's kind of has this like air of higher class and that kind of stuff, but she's like kind of snobby. And then there's a handful of them, Karen, Nancy, and Hanny, who don't like her because of that attitude. And it's never talked about how like people put on that attitude to cover up insecurities. Like that needs to be talked about. Like she is not just an inherently bad person, and I don't like how that wasn't talked about. And so I gave this 2.5 stars. They continue to talk about Pamela as this like kind of, they just don't talk nicely about her, and I really don't like that, and definitely had some conversations with my daughter about that. So 2.5 stars. Then I read You Are Not Alone by Greer, Hendricks, and Sarah Pekkanen. So I feel like their books are always super hyped and super talked about, and so I really wanted to know what this one was about, and I gave it 3.5 stars. I liked it. So our main character, Shay, she sees a woman commit suicide like on the subway, like she jumps in front of it, and she just can't get that like out of her head. She can't not be involved, and so she gets more and more immersed. I think the character's name was Amanda, in Amanda's life, and Amanda's 2 best friends kind of befriend Shay, and I really liked being in Shay's head, but this got a little redundant at times, and you don't know the whole time, like, who is Shay just kind of crazy? Are these best friends? What are their intentions? Like, there's all of that, and I liked it. I really enjoyed it. But like I said, it wasn't perfect, and I wouldn't say it's the best thriller I've ever read by any means. So then I read Preemies, The Essential Guide for Parents of Premature Babies, and this is by two sisters who both had NICU babies and a doctor, a neonatologist. And they were kind of like, when they were in the NICU, they were really wanting a book that was like, I mean, you guys have seen the kind of stuff I have read. There's a lot of like memoirs about their people's experience in the NICU, and those are all like, sometimes depending on who you are and where you are in the process, it can either be really helpful and like what their story is, but regardless, it's very specific to their story, and sometimes can be kind of doom and gloom. Sometimes it can breed all sorts of feelings in you as you're going through it. What they wanted was just kind of a factual thing that wasn't a textbook, but was, just able, like, consumable information about what was going on with their baby, what they could expect, all of that. So this, I heard about this and immediately put it on hold at the library, and I got it, and it was like a straight up textbook. I will just have a picture because I've already returned it, but it was straight up textbook size, and it was huge, but it was very, very consumable and very conversational. And it had like sections both from the mom's perspective as well as from most of it was from the neonatologist's perspective, telling us like about things to expect. And you don't have to read this book cover to cover, because there are things that, like, it does go into if your baby has this syndrome or whatever that is very common in preemies, and if they don't, you can just skip over it. But I love to like read about that kind of stuff. I think I gave it 4 stars, maybe. Yeah, I gave it 4 stars. And my reason for it is because it goes from, actually pregnancy all the way until toddlerhood. And reading the section about toddlerhood for me was just anxiety inducing, because if you guys don't know, I had a baby a little over 8 weeks early. So she was like 32 weeks is kind of a cutoff for different things. And she was born before that, just by a day, but she was born before that. And so her risk for certain things is a little higher. And it's no guarantee that she's going to get these things, but it's possible. And I don't necessarily want to know, and they're little things like developmental disabilities and all that kind of thing that we will, as her parents, continue just to watch her, and just like we do our other 2 kids. And if there's anything out of the average, then we'll do what we need to do and help her in the ways that we need to help her. I didn't really want to hear all the possibilities. So I wish it would have ended at like, because it does like the first week home, the first month home or whatever. I wish it kind of would have stopped there. But that's just personal preference. So that is that book. If you are a mama or dad or any caregiver going through the NICU process, I would say this is definitely my most recommended book. Flip through, see what matters to you, what doesn't, but it was very good. Next is The Giver of Stars by Jojo Moyes. So I gave this 4 stars, and I was so nervous about this because I like have a very hit and miss relationship with Jojo Moyes, and for the most part it's misses, and I really like this. So this is about the like pack horse librarians in the hills of Kentucky in World War II days. They took books to rural areas where people couldn't access libraries. And so they did this, and it's a lot about like the political climate around that and how the leader of that was treated. And I just really enjoyed it. It was 4 stars. Highly recommend. Next is Heartstopper Volume 4 by Alice Oseman. So if you guys have watched for a while, you would know that I loved number 1, and I even really liked number 2. Number 3, I did not like at all. And the reason for that, so number 4, I gave a 4 star. And the reason is because I feel like number 3 tackled some issues and brought up some issues that they did not handle appropriately. They were all handled then in volume 4. So I almost wish 3 and 4 would have been a combo or something, or we would like in 3 they go on a trip to Paris, and that's the whole book. And then in 4 they're back, and they're kind of back in regular life. And I wish we would have gotten less of the trip. So this could be combined into 1 volume, because the issue was brought up in a very, for me, felt like very triggering, irresponsible way. And then it wasn't resolved at all here until volume 4. But It also depends how you choose to read graphic novels and how they're meant to be read, but I just think if she would have had some of this content from number 4 and number 3, it would have been much better. So I liked it. I gave it 4 stars, and that's it. Next is The Hotel Nantucket by Elin Hildebrand. So I gave this one 3.5 stars. The giver of stars, and then this one, as well as some of the others that I read, were part of the Book of the Month Ketchupathon or something. So I will link my blog for that down below. But I like this one too. Elin Hildebrand is generally pretty good for me. I like her. This one I gave 3.5 stars. So it's about this hotel that is run down, and it's not run down. It's just it has a bad reputation for being haunted and that kind of stuff. And so somebody takes it, like a new person owns it, and he's like, I want to earn 5 stars from this hotel reviewer or whatever. So the whole goal is to revamp this hotel and make it like this luxury hotel. So that's mostly what's going on. We're following all of the staff members, and not a whole lot happens. Honestly, it's more just a deep dive into all the staff members. And so it's 3.5 stars. It wasn't my favorite, but it was entertaining. Next is Karen's Grandmothers. This is number 10 in the Babysitters Club Little Sisters, and I gave this one 3.5 stars. This is about Karen. She is a part of like an adopt a grandparent program, and so she adopts a grandma, and she ends up having 5 grandmas. And luckily, my kids are blessed with 5 grandmas as well. So she was talking about like what an excessive number this is, but my kids have 5 grandmas. They have 2 on my side and 3 on my husband's. So, yeah, they're lucky with 5 grandmas. And I like this one. Again, Karen does not treat people the way I would always want my kids to treat people, but it's conversation starters and it's good Babysitters Club nostalgia. So then I read The Girl with the Yellow Star, and this was a part of a NetGalley vlog that will be coming out this week, so keep your eyes peeled for that for a little bit more of my opinion. But this is a World War II story about a girl and her mom who are Jewish Germans who then go to France, and then that becomes unsafe, so they go to live in the English countryside with this woman. Well, I totally expected that the book would be about the little girl. Because The Girl with the Yellow Star, it indicates that that's kind of what it's about. The synopsis does give a little bit more, but I really thought it was going to be about the little girl. And it's not. It's about the woman in the English countryside that takes them in. And we get her life and her romances and all of that kind of stuff. And that's just not really what I wanted from the book, but I think that's a me problem, not a book problem. So 3.5 stars on that. And then The Prisoner by B.A. Paris, I'll just say I gave it 3.5 stars. And you can watch the blog on Friday to know more of why. This was one of my most anticipated reads of this year. I love B.A. Paris, and so it was 3.5 stars for me. So stay tuned on Friday to find out why. So that is everything that I read in the second half of October. Let me know if you've read any of these books, or if you're interested in any, or what the best book you read in October was. So, and are you a seasonal reader? Are you into like all the spooky thrillers or historical or cozies? What does fall mean to you? So thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.